column, I guess you call it, essay, where he talked about the 2016 election. It's going to be an interesting interview because of what's tied to it today, which seems to be a threat on his life. We will get into that.
And a dark it should tell you who they are. It really should tell you who these people are. Because this guy was executed. The guy they said, oh, he's like this guy in World War II. He was executed for intellectual crimes. Okay, not military or political crimes. He was intellectual crimes.
I remember there's a Tom Cruise movie about this.
Yeah.
That's scary. Thought crimes.
Yes.
I guess you could also say as well.
We go right to Michael Anton, who has got to put us on speakerphone because he's driving. So make sure you stay safe first, Michael. Welcome to the program. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You're former national security official in the Trump administration. You're senior fellow at the Claremont Institute, the author of The Stakes. You have been talking about the Transition Integrity Project. And the Transition Integrity Project is something that is not seriously looking for integrity. They are looking ways to war game how Biden can win and what they have to do, no matter what the scenario is. Would you say that is an accurate description?
That is a description based on their own report that they deliberately leaked to the media. So I know denials, which actually haven't even been made, would be not credible based on this document that they, again, deliberately leaked to the media.
Right. Why do you think they leaked it? Do you think it was because they were arrogant and they thought everybody agreed with them, or to cause more problems?
My supposition is that they leaked it to get this idea into the public mind, out into the bloodstream early, so that if they go ahead and do what they are planning to do, they will have, number one, they will have their supporters ready to go and ready for action. And number two, they want to get into the public mind that, as some of the clips you were playing said, Trump can't win. So if it looks like he won, he cheated, and his victory will be illegitimate. Therefore, whatever we do to get him out of there will be justified. And so to the American people, they want to say, don't blame us. You need to blame him if we go ahead and do something like this.
So Niels Gilman, who serves as the vice president of programs at the Chinese Communist Party-linked Berggruen Institute, took to Twitter. He is the founder of the so-called Bipartisan Transition Integrity Project, and he called for you to be executed. In fact, I want to read it. Michael Anton is the Robert Brasilovich of our times and deserves the same fate. I think I'm mispronouncing Robert's name. But this is a remarkable claim from the head of this bipartisan institute.
I had to, honestly, I'll admit to your listeners, I didn't recognize the name, so I had to look it up. Turns out he was a French intellectual who was accused of writing collaborationist material in World War II and was executed by firing squad in 1945. So, in other words, the tweet says, not only am I a Nazi, but I deserve to be shot to death. Of course, lots of people reported this to Twitter, Twitter's terms of services. Twitter never does anything against the left when they incite violence against the right. If a conservative from a Twitter account so much as jaywalks, their account will be suspended or banned. You remember the old Google slogan, "Don't be evil," which Google took down after a while. I don't know what to say about Twitter anymore, except this is an evil company. This is a company that countenances violence against its perceived enemies and refuses to do anything about it, while very strictly policing speech of its perceived enemies. I don't know any other word for that, but I am not the first person to have had this treatment given to them, and Twitter has done nothing about it.
No, I'm very well aware of that. So what is it that they are accusing you of here? Because what
I don't know.
What Robert Brasilovich was accused of was an intellectual crime, which he was the first and I think the only one to be executed under that. It was very controversial at the time. An intellectual crime, not a political crime, not a military crime, intellectual crime. They executed him because they said he was spreading propaganda and inciting violence. So the only propaganda that you could be spreading would be if their own words that they leaked out was indeed propaganda. Right?
Right. I don't know what could the accusation be. I would welcome anybody involved with the Transition Integrity Project, plus the senior Democrats who have engaged in coup talk. That includes Joe Biden talking about the military dragging the president out of the White House, Hillary Clinton, Al Gore, Bill Clinton. I would welcome any and all senior Democrats and anyone involved with this project to come forward and say, we disavow this kind of talk. We are not calling for this. We want the military to play no role in the upcoming election. We want the votes to be counted fairly, and we want the real winner to be president, even if that means a second term for Donald Trump if he wins the election fairly. I would love to hear them all say that. I would love nothing more, but that's not what they said. And mostly they were silent on my article until finally, out of the blue, this person I've never heard of, who apparently knows some friends of mine, so we have mutual acquaintances, calls for my execution and complete silence from the institutions with which he's affiliated. They apparently have no problem with it either. The Gruen Institute is what it's called. So the institutions that I'm affiliated with, I work for Hillsdale College, and I'm a senior fellow, as you said, at the Claremont Institute. They're taking this seriously. They're looking at it, and I'm not going to predict necessarily what they're going to do, but I reported this in a number of different directions to institutions I'm familiar with or affiliated with, and other ways. I'm taking it seriously. I don't think I can afford in a political climate this heated to just brush off this kind of incitement to violence when a multi-billion-dollar company like Twitter allows it, and this apparently fairly well-funded institute for which this person works has no problem with it.
When you have violent supporters and you say things like this, it is definitely a threat. And I don't think that it's necessarily a threat with the violent supporters. However, I do think it is a threat if these people get power. That's exactly what's going to happen to people like you and me and everybody else. If you don't stand where they tell you to stand, they will execute you. They will.
Well, I really hope it doesn't come to that. That would be about the worst possible outcome I can imagine for America, which is why, I get accused of whatever I'm accused of. I'm trying to lower the temperature of politics in America. I think coup talk from anybody is insane, dangerous, and destabilizing. So to accuse me of raising the temperature of politics in America for opposing coup talk is the absolute reverse of the truth.
Well, the New York Times and I think Washington Post did that with me last week. I went over the documents and read the documents from this organization. The New York Times said that I was a conspiracy theorist and that I was fomenting civil war. I don't want civil war. I'm telling you, they will go for civil war if Donald Trump wins and wins fairly. It will be civil war.
Well,
not by my choosing.
Sometimes loose talk is just loose talk. And it's entirely possible that Donald Trump could win the election fairly, and a lot of people will be very upset and perhaps take to the streets.
Yes.
But also perhaps, as they did in 2016, 2017, accept the election without violence. Now, that's not to say that the left accepted it. They also dreamed up the Russia hoax, tried to impeach him, tried to remove him, and lots of other things. But we didn't have a civil war. We don't necessarily have to have a civil war, even in the event of a Trump victory this time. But the left sure isn't making that outcome less likely with all their talk. Unfortunately, their heated and horrible destructive rhetoric makes it more likely. And I think they really need to cool it, turn down the volume, turn down the heat, turn down the rhetoric, and knock it off. And that's, unfortunately, right now, not what they're doing.
Michael, stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet. Michael Anton, author of The Stakes, former national security official, Trump administration, senior fellow of Claremont Institute, and the man, it's amazing to me that an organization like the Transition Project that says that, no, we're not radicals. We're not radicals. Immediately go to an execution for somebody who's speaking out against them. That's the definition of radical. I don't know if you know that. When somebody disagrees with you, you say they're dangerous and they should be executed for it. That's a definition of radical. Maybe it's just me.
I don't think it is. That's pretty far down that road. And we are supposed to continually deny this.